think the cemetery's on top of volcano? No, 7 miles south of here.
Not much stuff left to rent or lease out there anymore.
I'd like to call the Monuments and Cemetery Commission meeting for September 19th, 2022 to order. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 20th, 2022 meeting. I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
Move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the June 20th, 2022 meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Old business, I don't see anything on the agenda, so we'll go to new business. Item number 3.1, placement of memorial rocks. To approve, deny the placement of memorial rocks in the city cemetery. Mr. Warda, I think, has some information he would like to share with the board. So if you would like to do that, please.
Thank you very much. I just need to background this as to why I have this great connection to the Redstone Quarry, just on the edge of New Ulm. In the 70s, I was doing some water research in wells, shallow wells that were going dry in southwest Minnesota, and every time they went down to about 200 feet, the wellmen would complain because they would hit something so hard they couldn't drill through it. So I went to a well drillers symposium in St. Louis and I was approached by a wellman from Missouri, middle of Missouri, and he said, "I don't like you." And he saw my name badge in Wall, Minnesota. I says, what's that about? Well, he says, "Let me tell you. In the middle of Missouri, when we get down about 225 feet, we hit something very hard. And the first thing we do is we swear. The second thing we do, we put on our diamond drill bits. And the third thing we do is then we pray that we don't have to drill too far through this until we hit water. But when we hit water, it comes up to exactly the same level as your Minnesota River at New Ulm. Our Redstone Quarry is a remnant of a volcano that at one time the last lava flowed clean down into Missouri. Well, anyway, that led me to a great connection with some of the prior owners, but the recent owners now are from New York, and they're mining this like fantastically, moving it all over the country. And I had a tour with the geologist over at Minnesota State Mankato, Stephen Losh, last fall. Gave us a 3-hour trip to it, and you can see where the sloping of the different layers of the lava over the eons of time. That is the oldest and hardest rock on Earth, and that's why we've got granite all over Minnesota. But anyway, visiting with the general manager over there now, I asked him if it might be possible to save a couple large chunks of that rock that might be used as a memorial. And he says, "I would love to do that." And so he did call me this spring, and he has a couple ready for me. And by the way, I drove through the cemetery, and there is already one out there similar to it, but I don't think it's from the quarry. But there is a rock on the bottom road standing up like this that is standing by itself, likely not as big as the one we're talking about that I have in hand. The weight of each one of these rocks that is now in place out at, waiting to be engraved out at the MR paving site. They weigh about 4 tons each. It would be placed on end on a platform that would be made of concrete using aggregate that comes from out there. And on that platform, it would read, "Where you are standing, the rock is the oldest and hardest on Earth. And where you are standing on top of a volcano, an extinct volcano." The placement site is, if you make the corner, could I share some of this? I've got some drawings here that I could leave with you. You can't, can we do it on the scanner here?
Got one up on that screen over, there we go.
That is an aerial drawing of the proposed site, which is just to the north of the cemetery sign that is there in place. That is not in any area where there are graves proposed from this map, which shows the approximate size in comparison to the lots, the grave sites that are proposed there, that are assigned. The site, another view of it, is looking at it from the Catholic cemetery across.
That's okay. How did you get that on your screen?
Would be out of the way of any of the proposed grave sites. Would not be involved there. The plan is to have a flagpole and that they would be illuminated at night. It would be dedicated to one to all veterans, and the other one to all volunteers, firemen, Red Cross workers, auxiliary police, blood donors, to all who serve mankind without remuneration. I Googled volunteer monuments. There is none that I could find on Google. So we may be breaking some new ground by honoring those who, even our veterans who continue working for nothing, should be thanked some way. And this is a kind of a permanent, neat way to do it. And it's certainly because of its uniqueness, there will be a lot of people visiting it and getting that information. The proposed language is still not done. I'm hoping to meet with several wordsmiths who can make sure that I don't miss anybody or that I misspell anything. But anyway, veterans who served our nation during all the wars, a salute to all New Ulm area volunteers who served all mankind, firefighters, auxiliary police, Red Cross workers, blood donors, and to all who serve mankind without remuneration. And these memorial rocks are from a New Ulm quartzite quarry. Eons ago, a volcano spewed its last lava, which became gneiss, the oldest and hardest rock on Earth. You are standing atop an extinct volcano. I have no numbers yet as far as the total costs go, but I'm estimating about $15,000, and I will not have any problem. I've had all kinds of offers already to fund this.
So you're anticipating that it would be totally paid for by donations?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay.
There'll be no cost to the city of any type.
Mr. Ward, are you dead set on that location? Would maybe down by the Veterans Park, closer to the railroad track on that side of the road where there's nothing, on that kind of northeast corner by the Veterans Park? If you're standing in Veterans Park off to the right towards the railroad track?
I think that'd be a good alternative. On the other hand, if we want people to see this who don't normally go to the cemetery, I think this is a preferable site. I think it's going to be a real attraction, putting it where it's very visible.
I have a question for you guys. Is it going to pose any obstacles for maintenance or anything like that? Where he's looking at putting it?
The thing I'm kind of concerned about is it's on a slope hill. There's a slope there. How are you gonna have handicap accessible, get to it? Are you gonna have to go through the graves, or, because it's a real slope there. The first 24 feet, and you see on that one map is pretty sloped
There is no slope where this is.
on the hillside.
This is absolutely level.
From the curb street up to the sign, it's not level.
How the people are gonna get there from the
How do you-
road to the,
Well,
Yeah.
if it has any slant at all, it's very gentle. It is hardly any slope there.
From the curb and gutter up to the top, there's some pretty good slope there, and That's the only thing that's concerned is with the handicap accessible and how close are we gonna get to the graves is, you know.
Is the site that you were talking about, Dave, better suited, maybe? Is it flatter?
From what I recall, I mean, I'm not out there every day. Towards the railroad track side of it, on that road, there's nothing out there.
Why did you pick the cemetery versus one of our parks? Why did you pick the cemetery instead of one of New Ulm's parks?
If there is another site, I'd be wide open to it. But this has been recommended to me by many people who want to honor not only veterans, but also volunteers. And that is somebody has to visit the cemetery at some time, and they will be definitely seen by visitors and others.
I don't think any of us are against this. It's just to make sure that it's in the right spot for safety reasons. ADA, that's definitely a concern. Maintenance, potential maintenance issues, different things like that. So, again, I'm in favor of this moving forward. I don't know that at this point in time we can say exactly where it's going to go. I'm not sure how we word that in a motion. But as far as, unless there's some other discussion, any other questions or concerns that any of the other members have for,
I think I'd like to table it until you get funding for this, so we get closer to actual.
Well, this is going to be a project for next spring as far as the installation goes. But I want to work with the engraver and others to be sure I get everything together, along with the fundraising.
maybe the best thing would be then, like you had mentioned, is to table it for now. We don't need a decision on it right now. Again, I think we all want to move forward with it, but we need a little bit more information. So does that sound fair?
I've had a construction guy with me, and he said that would be a perfect place for putting that platform, because it is, if it is any slope there at all, it's so minor that it is not going to be a factor.
But how are you gonna get handicapped approachable to it from the road? Is my question.
That's going to be up to, as far as how, I mean, as far back from the road.
Well,
That's
if they're
going to
on
be
the
up to.
avenue, there's about a 5-foot slope to the flat part. And if you come off the blacktop road in the cemetery, then they gotta go across all the, where they're going to, it's surveyed out for graves.
Well, I think the cemetery, the road that's inside the cemetery is going to be too far away from this. It's going to be accessible from Cemetery Avenue.
But how are you gonna make it handicap accessible from Cemetery Avenue? There's gonna have to be steps.
Yeah, there's a steep slope there, Denny, where it goes up and it's flat up on top where you want to put it. I totally understand that. It's flat up there when you want to put the platform, but you have to make it accessible from the steep street, and you have to meet ADA. So,
Years ago, before they redid the highway, it didn't line up with Jefferson Street. It was flat up there. They cut that approach down about 6-7 feet.
Well, I certainly would like to meet out there with anyone and actually show you where the idea came, is going.
How about we do that then, Denny? Once we get closer to funding and etching, we could go out to the cemetery. I'll go out there with you and look at alternate sites or some way to make it accessible.
It's fine. And if anybody has a better idea, other idea as to where it might go, I'm wide open. But at this point in time, this is the one that's come up most frequently as far as being the most visible. They're already part of the city property, so we're not infecting any private property. So,
Like the chairman said, I think we're for it.
okay.
Yeah.
It's just we need a little more information, so I don't think we needed to go any further on this one. But keep us in the loop, Denny, when you do get more information and when the project itself is a little further, and then we can look at having a meeting out there and with the city representatives too, and make sure we're putting it in a spot that is going to be safe.
Very happy to meet out there and
Okay.
and take a
Thank-
look at it.
thank
And
you
if
for your
there are any
time,
other
Denny.
sites, look at them too.
Appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm in agreement that I'm all for it also, but I do some, just listening, there's a few little details that need to be worked out. So tabling it until another meeting, and it's not urgent that it has to happen today.
I agree.
I think everybody's in favor of it, and to work out a few of those little glitches. So,
All right, thanks, Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item under new business, item 3.2, placement of 3 flags behind the cemetery sign to approve or deny the placement of 3 flag poles behind the city cemetery entrance sign. I think this is something Mr. Huffman's gonna,
Yes, I was approached by the American Legion, a member of the American Legion, and they said they drive around and they see other towns, the entrance of the cemetery, there's flags that fly 24/7, you know, all year round. So he was wondering if we had something we could do. And they're proposing to put, they wanted 3 flags up on each, one on each side. There's actually 3 holes on, next to this main entrance sign as you come into the cemetery. But the way I went up there and looked at it today again, and to make it look right, I think you could put 1 on each side. That 3rd hole is down a little further and kind of look out of place to me, but they proposed 3, and they wanted to do it on the Catholic side too. I talked to the Catholic Cemetery Board, and they were kind of for it, but the Monsignor, he shot it down because he said with the statue and stuff, it didn't, that's on their sign, it wouldn't look right, he said, so they do not want to do it, so they denied it. So I'm just bringing it to you. If it's something you want to okay them to do, they figure they'd get enough street light that would shine on the flags from the street lights across the street, so they'd be lit 24/7, so,
Do you know why 3 and not 1?
no. They plan on, in the future, want to go further down the Cemetery Avenue, that's what they wanted to do. You know, have more flags, but right now they wanted to start with 3, they just said 3. But,
I think, I agree with you, though, the balance wouldn't be there with 3.
you're right. If you were standing looking at the sign, there would be 1 on the left and 2 on the right. They just wanted something visible from Broadway when people drive by Broadway that we have. We do have a flag down in Soldiers Rest that flies 24/7. That's lit, so,
So is
but
the
they wanted something visible.
Legion paying for this, or?
They would take care of it, yes. If one went down, you know, they would replace it. They said they were gonna use some stronger poles with the wind, and they were gonna use nylon flags so they wouldn't get wet with the rain and be heavy, so. Yeah, it's something they would take care of, and if one went down, Glenn would just have to let me know, and we'd have to let them know and go
Who
from
is
there.
your contact for this?
Brian Gromitz.
Okay. Again, to reiterate, I think the 3 thing is gonna look off balance, so if it's either 2 or 4, you know, if they could do 4 to balance it out, or just go to 2, I mean, the language in here says that they're asking for 3 flagpoles, so I don't know how we, you know, if we say up 3, then they're gonna put 3 in, and what is it gonna look like? That'd be my concern.
And it's just, there's be some, instead of mowing around, we have to weed whip around it because it's tight between the sign. You know, it'd
Yep.
be a little more work for Glenn and Kyle, but something else to think about.
Any
so
other-
what do we either accept as it's proposed, or can we propose it to put 2 or a different number as a motion?
I think we probably could. My worry is if we say up 3, then again, they're gonna do the 3, and once it's in and up, and you see that imbalance, I just don't know what it's gonna look like. I'm just not sure that that's what we want as a visual aid to that entrance. So,
I think we need a proposed layout, you know, up front.
is this something that they were hoping to do yet this?
They, yeah, if it got okayed, it'd have to go to city council and they'd have to okay it. And then, yeah, they would put the 2 up now, and he said they're working on something in the future where they would go down Cemetery Avenue. And he said they would bring that.
I think in order to keep it moving on their end, if we amend the wordage to 2, and then it would still have to go past, I'm assuming, or I'm thinking it might be the same concern with the city council as far as the balance. But is anybody have any other thoughts on that? I mean,
I agree with the two, maybe one on each corner of the sign.
When you say there's holes there already?
There
was
are
it
holes there,
already-
because on Memorial Day, they put flags all the way down
Okay,
Cemetery Avenue, and there's actually concreted with PVC where they slide the pole in, and
So do you need a motion on something there? Or?
We would need a motion if we're gonna approve it, but I think, again, the wordage would have to be amended from 3 flagpoles to 2, if we are in agreement on that.
I'd make a motion to amend the request from 3 to 2 and approve the request at 2.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I don't see anything else on our agenda, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Second,
Third.
All those in favor?
aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.